since you might say I'm speaking my piece now in my old age in ways I never have done before in my life, I'm going to make this note that I normally would not make. And I got to say what I'm about to say, I have never said to anyone on the earth, nor hinted at to anyone on this earth. Because this is not the kind of thing I talk about. Well, I'm going to talk about it now just because it's something that's bothered me, and why not? Sayaka, if you're listening, you might understand. Here's something I've never told anybody, if that makes any difference to you. When I started in graduate school at this university in downtown Washington, I'm not going to say the name of it, okay? I was wanting to use the gym to work out before the actual semester started, and I'd gone down to the university area and found a room down there, and so I called up. I probably went to this center where you could. It was the gym for the university, and found that I couldn't use it yet because I wasn't a student yet. So I called up the English department, or the departments of arts and sciences, and whatever, and I was connected to the secretary there, and it said, no, you can't use the gym till the semester starts. And I said, well, can I talk to the dean about this? And she said, okay. So I went in, and I went into the dean's office, and respectfully, I went into his office and asked him, I'm going to be a student in a week or two or whatever. Can I use the gym? Now, what I did not tell him was that I was a son of an alumni member of the university. The man of the year had graduated from that medical school with honors. So that my mother, he was made a member of an honor society. So when he passed away, my mother gave me that pin, along with another honor society pin he got when he was much older. He was made part of, I think it was called the Radiologic Society, Honor Society, when he was a middle-aged man and I was graduating from high school. My mother specifically gave me those honor society pins saying, I wanted you to have these. This is the only thing she specifically singled me out in private to give me. Now, I did not tell this man that I was a son of an alumni member of the university. And as I learned, and I think this is true, although, it's been years since this has gone down, I believe that as a son of an alumni member, I could have used that gym on that basis. I didn't think to tell him that because, to me, this is, it's a breaching of my own honor code. I don't go trading on my father's name or reputation for a lot of reasons. One reason being I never liked or trusted that man at all, and I got lots and lots of reasons in my life from that time onward. I don't want to honor him in any way. However, I got to say, I think that according to the rules, I should have been allowed to use that gym on the basis that I was a son of an alumni member there. Now, I might have had to pay something, right? But I would have done that. Now, here's the weird thing that happened from that. I accepted, no, you can't use the gym. But this man's way of treating me, as I say, people respond to me in this bizarre way, no matter what I'm trying to talk to them about, okay? And so this dean was regarding me like I was some kind of radical, revolutionary threat to world peace by having coming into his office this way. There was nothing I could do about that. But here's what happened. Okay? As time went on, I was in that program for 2 years, as I've said in many of these kind of recordings, and every time I went into that Office of Arts and Sciences, the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, to tend to one matter or another, a red tape matter of registering for a semester or whatever. If that man saw me, he stormed out of the room. This was his response to me. And anytime I was walking on the campus and he saw me, he had that murderous expression on his face and a turning away from me like the man of the year used to use toward me. Like, man, I'm going to destroy this guy. And this is the dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. Why he was doing that? Because I asked to use the gym. This is the radical, inappropriate, horrific thing that I asked. Well, anyway, it comes to the point where, as I said, I already did the impossible at the school. They told me I could not pass all the classes in 2 semesters necessary to get a master's degree. I could not do that. And I could not also pass the comprehensive exam and the foreign language exam and work at the same time. I would not be able to do that. They warned me, more than one person. The head of the English department told me that flat out. And they had a PhD working there as the chairman of the department's secretary, and she was telling me, you will not be able to do this. Okay, I said, well, I'm going to do it, and I did it. I passed all my classes, and I passed the comprehensive exam and the foreign language exam in 2 semesters the way I said I was going to do. Okay? Now, all that time, whenever this dean saw me, he was storming away from me like he wanted to kill me. Okay? And, well, here's what happened, okay? After I completed all my classes in 2 semesters, I then said I want to spend an entire year on my thesis. Now, most people in graduate school there would spend 1 semester on their thesis. I did all my classwork and comprehensive exam in 2 semesters, as I was told would be impossible. I took on all that work and I successfully completed it. And then I said, I'm going to take a year on my thesis, not a semester. Not a semester, an entire year. So that meant the summer semesters, the fall semester, and the spring semester of the next year, and then into the summer following that. I told the English department I was going to do that because I wanted to be a writer. They said, what do you want to do with your degree? I said, I want to be a writer. So this was important to me to write this thesis in preparation for a career as a professional writer. So I'm spending a year on the thesis, and now the thesis has been passed to the second reader. It's passed my thesis advisor, and he's passed. He says, you've written a PhD dissertation here. That's what he said to me. This is not a thesis. This is a PhD dissertation. Anyway, the thesis then went to the second reader, and the second reader passed it as well in the summer of 1978. And I guess, although it had passed it all, somehow there was a miscommunication in the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. So I get a letter from this dean himself telling me that somehow I was in trouble and I was not going to graduate. And this is the only exact quote I remember from that incendiary letter I got from this man himself. It said, quote, because you did not finish your thesis. Now, as I said, I had worked a year on my thesis, not a semester. And I get this kind of note from this man. Why was I being treated this way? Well, this is more proof of what I'm saying about the way I misperceived, and the consequences of that in my life have been catastrophic. This is no easy thing for me, okay? As I say, what happens is I get trashed, and later on, or they find out somehow, wait a minute, this guy, somebody explains to him maybe later, this, you know who you're talking about here? This is somebody who did this, that, and the other, and this is what happened, and this is why he did that. And maybe if that guy heard all that, he would say, well, I was wrong about this guy. Anyway, I got trashed by this man, and what happened? I went into the to the graduate school office with the past thesis. I said, here's my thesis. It's been passed by the second reader. Here's the letter I got. I don't know what happened. And they passed me through, and I got my master's degree. But I got to say, man, I have not told this story to anyone. It rankled in my emotional and spiritual life way back then, and it's rankling to this day. And let me say this about this man. This man was a Jewish man. Okay? So I just want to let you know, Sayaka, that that's true. And I think I've said in many of these notes that whether a person is Jewish or not Jewish, this is immaterial to me in certain ways, and in other ways, of course, it matters. These are facts about a person, and when you hear the facts have meanings, and so if a person happens to be Jewish, okay, I take that in, but I just want to let you know, this was a Jewish man doing this to me. The dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, where I worked so hard. I worked so hard, I'll say, and I'll keep repeating, I have never worked that hard in my life, and I never will. I'm coming to the end of my life, and I can say I have never worked so hard as I worked over those 2 years. And that is what I got for it from the dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. By the way, I did not go to the graduation ceremony. I didn't even think of it. I had no interest in doing that. I got my master's degree in September 1978. That's all from me for now. Bye for now. Footnote. After I got my degree in September 1978, I decided I'm going to use the gym to work out. Now that I got my degree, so I started going to the gym, and they had a weight room, and at first when I went in there was nobody in there at all. It was empty, and I was working out with the weights. Well, I was there, I went there 1 or 2 times, and then suddenly, who shows up in there with me? This man, I was then 24 years old, 24, and I would be 25 in a few months, and well, I was lifting the weights in the weight room, and this guy shows up. Who is he? Well, he's older than I am. He's in his 30s, and he's clearly a gay man. And he's got a really heavy type of perfume, something all over him, so that it's like, comes into the room, it's like, a perfume bottle's been splashed in front of my nose. That's how he smelled. And so as I'm lifting weights, he's coming over to me telling me I'm doing it all wrong. He said, you're bending your back. You can't do it. You gotta do it right. He's telling me how to lift the weights and so on. And he smells the way he does, and we're alone in this room. And I'm saying, I don't like this. And I probably said, oh, okay, I'm doing it wrong. Oh, all right. And so, I was trying to do it right, but, I came back like one more time, and he was there again. And it's like, wasn't coming back like at the same time each time, but there he was again. So with the same gigantic smell, like a cloud all around him that went with him. And so I didn't go back. I stopped, and that was the end of it. That was the end of my use of that weight room. I stopped, and I never went back again.